That there are some people in this world that did not tune in to the Alliance Vlog podcast. Shame on you! Shame on you! My name is Ella Indy, and I'm one half of the NWA World Television Champion. And I'm Kimmy Page, the other half of the NWA World Women's Tag Team Champion. And you better go listen to the Alliance Vlog, what is it called? The podcast, period. You're ugly. Korean Power approved.
Mi gente, you already know who it is. It's the radioactive pop with Danny Limelight, United Wrestling Network World Heavyweight Champion. And make sure you tune into the Alliance Vlog every week. You heard it here first. Straight from
Hey guys, check this out. I am officially now sponsored by Dubby. Dubby is a clean energy drink made to give you focus with no crash. If you guys are like me, you're always needing a burst of energy, especially with one with no crash. Dubby contains vitamins, amino acids, a nootropic, and 150 milligrams of caffeine. It keeps me awake with no jitters, guys. Check it out. Merch link is in the bio. Dubby.
Are you ready?
Power.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
I'm building an alliance. God bless the internet.
Okay, let's party.
It's showtime.
It's time for the Alliance Guys podcast with your hosts Kevin Frazier, Jaden, DKM, and J. Cal.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Alliance Guys podcast, a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com, your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance. My name is J. Cal. His name is DKM. Welcome to the party, pals.
Pals.
Yeah.
What up?
I consider each and every person in this chat a personal friend of mine.
No, wait, there are people.
Hey, it's Eric Dell. I haven't seen Eric Dell in a chat in a very long time. So what's up, Eric Dell? He's at Taco Bell. Does he want anyone to pick him up anything?
2 tacos, no lettuce, and a combination burrito, no red sauce, please.
Let me get that Mexican pizza. Now that it's back, I have a reason to go. Everyone's here, so I want to say what's up.
Yeah, it'll be your reason to go, all right.
That's a different kind of reason. Mike is in the house. Luthez is here. James is here. And, I made sure to let the intro go a little bit longer because, as Luthez said, to quote Willy Wonka, the suspense is delicious and I hope it lasts. So I was just trying to make it last a little bit longer. Our pal Jeremy's in the chat. James H. Jackson's here. He's going to take some tacos. Luthez wants a number 12. James wants to know if we have anything to talk about today.
Nope.
I don't know. There's a few things. Does DKM have the whiskey in the water bottle? That might be vodka, but that ain't whiskey.
That's my water.
And that's my whiskey.
That's my Sprite. And that's my Frosty.
You're loaded up.
And since you guys seem to be really nosy, this is my cheeseburger. And I don't know if you can see or not. Here are my fries.
You got your fries. Luckily, The wife came through, man, and I had some delicious dinner, like literally seconds before the show started. That's why we started.
Literally seconds.
The
real reason that there was that delay was because he was finishing eating. So
it was delicious, man.
It looked good.
Yeah, it was good. It was good.
Not that anyone offered me any, but
I haven't been out to Texas, but I did go out to Nolens. Saw you in Nolens. I did go out to Glassboro, New Jersey, and hung out with Jaden. When are y'all coming out here to SoCal so I could take you to get some guacamole?
Well, now you know why we're not going out to SoCal.
Raluca's wondering if you're enjoying EC3 like physically, like right now.
Does it look like I'm enjoying him physically right now? No.
Raluca has a very sweet face and says the most wild things.
Jay was enjoying dinner, and I was enjoying EC3.
Hey, that's all that matters. Mike says, okay, with all that, I'm ready to hear DKM sing I'm a Little Teapot.
No.
I think you've done that before for some reason. That seems like you've done that once or twice.
Probably, but I'm not doing it now.
By the way, I
do not take requests.
That's true. I asked him to quit yelling at me, and he never listens. Jeremy says that guacamole is gross, but you know what? My boy James H. Jackson and I, we're going to enjoy some guacamole with our taquitos, tacos, frijoles, y arroz.
Are you trying to sound like you're Mexican?
I'm First of all, sir, I'm becoming a Spanish speaker. You better get comfortable with it. That's my wife, boys. Tim and Raluca are my favorite Canadians. They've surpassed Lance Storm. They've surpassed Chris Jericho, Kenny Omega.
I'm pretty sure that learning to speak Spanish is cultural. What do they call it? Cultural
appropriation.
Appropriation. Yeah.
Oh, come on now. No. It means you're world. When you learn to speak another language, it makes you worldly.
Really?
I mean, I think so.
Because that way you can cuss out people in more of the world.
I mean, I bet you I could say bad words on here and won't get in trouble on it with YouTube.
Until I translate them for it.
Don't do that.
Well, $20 in my bank account. And
$20 is $20.
I take what I can get.
Well, speaking of taking, how about some of this news and information that's been spewing out of the National Wrestling Alliance this week? There's
been news.
It's so much news I can't keep up, to be quite honest with you. I haven't had an opportunity to write about the territories when you got Billy Corgan going on. Oh, Eric Dell speaking Spanish. You caught me off guard there. Mi español es mal, amigos.
So translate it.
Oh, I can translate. My Spanish is bad, friends. But see, I would say, lo siento, señores. Mi español es no muy bueno. Man,
so what are we talking about?
Well, okay, so struggle meals.
Struggle meals?
That's what we were talking about before the show started was struggle meals. We're talking about Hamburger Helper, and that I had Hamburger Helper when I was a kid, but it wasn't a staple in our pantry. DKM said he didn't have Hamburger Helper until he was married and poor. Is Hamburger Helper considered a struggle meal, or is that a come-up meal? What do you guys think? I'm waiting for you in the chat. We're not moving forward till I hear some results on this. By the way, Eric just did the whole show for us, so now it's time to wrap it up. We're going to pack it in here. Mike says it's a struggle meal.
That's the way I'd always interpreted it, but
Luthez says it's he loves it either way.
We're going to talk about stories and food and growing up and learning.
Excuse me.
My
Sorry.
grandmother was a vegetarian.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I know. But she had the veggie meats, like hot dogs, veggie hot dogs.
Oh, okay. I see what you're saying.
Veggie hamburgers, whatever. And so when I was young, I really liked hot dogs. But when I went there, she'd serve me the veggie hot dogs. Well, as a little kid, I just grew up eating them. And I knew they were not, real hot dogs. So it was one of those things of, even as an adult now, sometimes I will still crave them because, it's a childhood memory. So I'll go out and get some and eat one or whatever. I can remember my ex-wife trying them one time. She goes, "They don't taste anything like hot dogs." I go, "No, they don't." But they're still good. And she just couldn't get past the idea that they didn't taste like a hot dog. So, not even all hot dogs taste alike.
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. You could get like a Hebrew National versus like I can't remember. I think it's called like Fubo or something like that. You get them at Walmart for like 79 cents a pack, and they don't taste good. Mike says it's a struggle meal because he struggles to keep it down after eating. Eric Dell says bologna on hand is a struggle meal. Hamburger Helper is just being prudent with your money. So, and James H. Jackson's a vegetarian since birth. So when we go and eat our guacamole, I'll be having taquitos. He might be having some, let's see, like I'm going to guess like a fajitas, but just the veggies only, which is actually really good when you think about it. I love all right, too much food talk. If you guys are hungry, I'm sorry. Mike says I prefer Helper without the ground beef, making it as a side dish, like a macaroni almost, I guess. That's interesting.
When I remember when making it, like the first couple times we bought it and everything, I can remember telling Angel, I go, "Well, we don't need to make this. We can just buy the things, kind of like we were talking about with the pancakes." I go, "Probably be cheaper or whatever." But it was, again, more the convenience and, the price. And, look, I have a coworker, and she used to say her mother would never serve macaroni and cheese because that was poor white trash.
Macaroni and cheese?
And the funny thing about it is not like they were rich. The dad was a blue-collar worker. But for whatever reason, to her mother, it was like poor white trash eating macaroni and cheese. And I'm just sitting there thinking, I love macaroni and cheese. I love all forms of macaroni and cheese. Give me the Kraft box. Give me some homemade, bake it in an oven, make it on a stovetop. I don't care. Get me that macaroni and cheese. I need it. And
no, not tuna helper. No.
I tried to forget it. I had successfully forgotten it, and now you've brought it up. Thanks a lot.
Oh, so in my house, you want to talk about we had struggle meals, and it's weird because I'm not trying to brag here, but we weren't poor, but we ate some weird shit. And my mom loved to make tuna casserole. So as a kid, I kind of liked tuna casserole. I think the last time I ate tuna casserole, I nearly threw up. And I love mac and cheese, and I loved Kraft mac and cheese. Like that's my wife at Thanksgiving, Michelle. She makes this amazing, like, really fancy macaroni and cheese with the crumble on top, and it's bacon in there and all that good stuff. And it's like, oh no, man, give me that Kraft. Give me that Kraft.
Well, I'll take any of it, all of it, part of it. I don't. The only thing you ever had it with brisket in it? Oh my gosh. It's almost better than Jaden's Connection.
Well, I think he's trying to update his photo because normally he has a nice either my chair or some angry clouds or the dog logo or something. Oh, Jeremy! Oh God, no, no! My favorite people are eating tuna casserole. No. All right, guys. Well, that's okay. Eric says spaghetti was often in my home growing up, but I tend to avoid it as an adult. Just too much spaghetti as a kid. See, and I love spaghetti now, and I used to love it as a kid. That was my favorite thing.
I went through a spell like that when it came to hot dogs. Like I ate so many hot dogs as a young kid. Yeah. By the time I was in high school, do not put one near me. It was gross and disgusting.
So, again, I'm not trying to sound like a wealthy person here. My parents, my dad used to always make steak, so my mom would fry it in the frying pan. And I hated steak in the frying pan. And I would eat it so much that I guess like for a while there I hated steak. I'd go out to dinner and I'd be like, no, I'm gonna have chicken. And which is the complete opposite now because I'm all back into loving steak again and probably have been for the last 20 years. But oh man, I was so over steak for a long time. And that sounds like, ooh, you're such a rich person. I don't know. I don't feel rich, but that was the case.
I mean, well, what's funny is that many popular dishes today, of course, were poor man's food at one time.
Yeah. Well, someone said lobster, and I think they used to serve lobster to prisoners. And it like somehow, some way, the advertising made it seem like it was a sophisticated, like a rich man's meal, and it like changed the whole narrative about it.
Well, and started traveling too. That was part of it.
Yeah, that's
basically the people who used to eat lobster were the people that lived next to the shores, and you could farm a lot of lobster, so it was a cheap thing. But well, that's just like the meat that they make fajitas out of.
Yeah,
that used to be one of the cheapest cuts of meat available. Now try to buy it.
It's still good though.
But like I remember, fried bologna sandwiches.
That I don't think I ever had fried bologna, and now I want it. It ain't making me crave it. What's funny is like we could talk about the most mundane shit, and you guys are into it, which I love. But like, we don't have to talk about wrestling here. We could talk about just about anything. I love that about the dynamic that we have on this show. I know Jaden's trying to jump on, and he's having some technical difficulties. I'm sure he'll be on soon, and we'll start talking a little bit of wrestling here in just a minute. This is lobster is a cockroach of the sea. All right, one story, real story, real quick. A few years ago, I saw that you could have a lobster as a pet. Now, what I didn't know is I didn't get a lobster. I actually got a crawdad. It was like a blue crawdad, which was kind of rare. And I got it and I thought this thing is awesome. And I'd sit there and I'd just stare at him or it. I don't know its pronouns. It would go around in the tank and it would just pick up every rock and put it to its mouth. And then I realized that dude ate everything in the tank. Everything. So if a fish got too close to it, it ate it. If the little frog in there left something for it, it ate it. And then that's when I got done with lobster. I became less interested in lobster after that.
That's why some religions consider it an unclean food.
The cockroach of the sea.
That's what Luthez just said a second ago. And James says, hey, the Alliance Food Guys podcast, third night each week. Maybe.
Despite having a culinary degree, I mean, a cheese sandwich with breakfast French fries on it.
I was about to say, Jane, I know has done some like culinary study. I didn't know you had a degree, but I know you were not worked as a chef, but
trained as a chef. Yeah,
trained as a chef. Thank you.
And again, I'm eating a sandwich with a piece of bread, some bunch of cheese, and some French fries from this morning's Wendy's breakfast.
All right. I want to know if anybody out there has ever done this. My late father-in-law, he loved this more than life itself. You get 2 slices of white bread. On each slice, you slather some mayo.
Okay.
Hate it already.
You get a big yellow or white onion.
I'm out.
Even worse.
I mean, that onion, the middle of that onion should be about the size of the bread. You cut it about an inch thick from the middle or more, and you put that in between the 2 slices of bread and just eat yourself an onion sandwich.
Oh.
Not only did my late father-in-law eat that, but one of his granddaughters, because she would see him eating it, grew up eating that type of stuff.
That should be considered child abuse.
They should have came and took her away. That's it. No, I have this aversion to mayonnaise.
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, same.
So, like, I don't know if I told the story on this podcast, but since we're talking about it, and you remember that one time that I went to China?
Mm-hmm.
So,
how could we forget?
Because I won't let you. One of the meals, the sponsors for the show took Dave Marquez, Heather Monroe, Watts, myself, Nick Bonanno, and 2 other people that you guys wouldn't know because they work behind the scenes. And we all went out to this pizza place in China, right next to a place that, never mind. And so I thought, okay, cool, pizza. When we get, that's another story. I'll stick to the pizza. So we get in there, and it's very much an American kind of looking like pizza place, like something that you would see in Glassboro.
Where there's about 17 of them.
Yeah, and there was like because they were buying, I didn't say no to nothing because I've never been in a situation where someone's buying my food without expecting me to put out. So I was excited, and they brought out chicken wings. Like, oh, I love chicken wings, and they said, "Hey, do you like fruit salad?" Who doesn't like fruit salad? Sure, I like fruit salad. So they brought fruit salad out, and it was fruit with what looked like icing on it. And I was very excited. I was, cantaloupe and honeydew melon. Oh, this will be great. I love honeydew melon. Grab my fork and I take a bite. It's mayonnaise. It's mayonnaise outlining the fruit.
There's a southern thing. I've been to a couple southern states that they like to do that. It's literally, they consider like potato salad or macaroni salad. They put mayonnaise in it, and it's ugh.
Well, I mean, I get it with the potato salad. I get that. I get it with macaroni salad. I get that. But like, just literally like glazing the fruit with mayonnaise was the absolute. I almost retched right there. And luckily there was some fish, there was some chicken. I asked the guy, I said, "Hey, what kind of fish is this?" And he goes, "Oh, it's fish." What kind? It's very good fish. All right. And then the problem is, because your boy Jay likes to eat, I kept eating, whatever was there, I was eating. So they would bring more of. And then Marquez literally said, "Stop fucking eating, Jay." And I was like, "Why? What's the problem?" And he goes, "They're going to keep bringing food until you stop eating. Stop fucking eating." Sorry. I didn't know, man. I thought I was in my house, if I bring you a plate of food and you eat the food, I'm going to bring you more food. That's being a gracious host.
When long time ago in Glassboro, there used to be a Kmart, and there was a little restaurant attached to Kmart. And they'd have all-you-could-eat days. One of them was all-you-could-eat fried chicken, which was okay.
That sounds good to me.
All-you-could-eat battered fried fish, which was actually quite delicious. They'd have all-you-could-eat shrimp. But my favorite day was Friday because it was all-you-could-eat clam strips.
Okay.
And one day, they were battered, and they were delicious, and they were buttery, and they were really good. And one day, I ordered some, and I ordered some more, and I ordered some more. And I ordered some more, and 11 servings later, they finally told me they didn't have any more.
You Homer Simpson then?
I don't believe, honestly, because 11 servings on all you could eat is not a lot, but I'm sure they just said that's why I didn't eat anymore. But
awesome.
still, I ate 11 servings of these damn absolutely delicious, buttery, crunchy, battered fried clam strips.
Gosh. So to kind of get out of the food talk and into some wrestling talk, our pal Jammin' Music Man says, where did I see it? What's everyone's thoughts on the Iron Claw trailer? That just dropped, I think it was 2 days ago. And it perked my interest. I'd love to hear what DK's thoughts are, and I know Jaden has a point of view as well. DK, if DK lived this, now the Von Erichs is literally in DK's blood. Like, he grew up watching this,
especially during the time frame they're hitting here. I've already told Jay about inaccuracies.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
White belts, and they didn't have belts then. They were using a trophy.
Say la vie.
Well, the movie is obviously Kevin Von Erich's story.
Yeah.
And so it's obviously seems, based on the trailer, it obviously seems to be his perspective of things as they grew up and did things, and everything.
Well, what's funny is, real quick, just to interrupt, Kevin, according to his sons, didn't even have any insight into the movie. They didn't speak to him about it. So they just kind of, I guess they went a different route in terms of telling the story, but it's not from Kevin's perspective. It's from somebody else's. It's about Kevin, but without Kevin's...
the way the movie's doing it.
Okay.
The movie seems to be doing it where Kevin's the main thing. It kind of circles around him. That's why I think they deal with, got like Lily James to play his wife or something. And I was kind of expecting garbage, honestly. And I was impressed enough by what I saw to be interested in it. And I don't really know how far it goes, how much it covers, or anything like that. But I was at least able to go, hey, that looks, I might actually want to watch that. And I will say that our buddy, the Thrillbilly, makes a very convincing Terry Gordy.
I could have told you that just watching them.
And but I mean, just in looking at it, his facials and everything, just like, he's got it down. Brady James didn't, or not Brady James, what's his name?
Brady Pierce.
Brady Pierce. Said Lily James earlier, and now I'm stuck on Lily. Doesn't look to be the best wig.
No, that looks awful. That looks like shit.
But overall, it looks like it might tell a story, and obviously it's going to center around my time. The main thing I said, Jay will back me up, when I first watched it, I go, they got Kerry pretty small in this one. He was...
Yeah.
He was...
The actor's a great actor. I've lately been on a binge with Shameless, and he was one of the actors on there, and you could see that there's a huge transformation in his body size, but he's built more like Kevin was, and Kevin is built more like what Kerry was. Zac Efron put on some mass. And what's funny is I went back and I listened to that interview with the Thrillbilly, and he was talking about, how dedicated Zac Efron was to his diet and all that during the filming. And he said that he even had alarms going off when he could drink water because he was so trying to have this perfect body type. And I'm like, he was built for, he looked like Kerry Von Erich playing Kevin Von Erich.
And I'll say he looked good. Overall, the trailer was enough to make me go, I might actually want to go see that.
Yeah, I do. I want to see it too. We'll try to time it so we all see it at the same time. Except poor Jay has to see like 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, thankfully for Zac Efron, I can drag my wife to this one. She's not going to complain.
Who's playing David? Because he looked pretty good. And anyway, what Kerry was definitely Fritz's favorite, but Kevin was never second. It was David was definitely second favorite.
Oh,
See, I always thought David was the favorite.
No,
Kerry was always the favorite. He was the one that everybody's had the most hopes for, even though David was the most talented of them.
Going into it, and of course, some of this from things. Yes, Kevin said one time in an interview, early days when like the first World Class DVD that they did before WWE, and he had made the comment. He goes, I was second, and second was a good place to be. He goes, Kerry was obviously the favorite. He goes, and David was the one that would challenge Fritz. David was the one that didn't necessarily look. When David went to Florida, it was to get away from Fritz.
And that was some great action. That was the best David, I think.
Probably.
Dory Funk Apprentice.
Yeah. And so he went there, and of course Kerry came and did some work out there with him, and Fritz eventually did some. But if you find like world-class shows from time, they never mention David. When they talk about the Von Erich brothers, they only talk about Kerry and Kevin. They did not say anything about David for about a year. And they were on the outs. And that's part of the reason why David actually started his quarter horse. I think it was quarter horse business. I don't know if they'll cover this in the movie or not. But yeah, David was actually becoming independently financially successful away from wrestling. But he was the one that was the most like Fritz, and that caused some trouble between him and Fritz.
That's always the case.
I want to know why he didn't sell whole horses, only sold a quarter of the horses.
I don't know.
Real quick, Cassidy Riley is in the movie. He plays one of the tag team opponents. Ryan Nemeth plays Gino Hernandez. I think what's that? Okay.
How they get a very, very white boy to play a half Spanish, half Paul Bosch's illegitimate son? How they get that?
I don't know. Chavo Guerrero Jr. plays the Sheik.
The Iron Sheik?
No, the Sheik.
Original Sheik.
Then Max Friedman plays Lance Von Erich, as we know. They even have a Marshall and Ross in the movie. Not the actors, not as actors, but the being portrayed by children. Mike Dell, who some of you guys might remember from NWA Southwest, he plays like a referee from the 50s. Of course, we mentioned Brady Pierce playing Michael P.S. Hayes. But of course, our pal, Thrillbilly Silas Mason, the star of the movie, playing Bam Bam Terry Gordy. And if you see that that preview, man, there's so much. I feel like the camera zooms in on him. I'm like, I really feel like this is about, maybe I'm biased here, but I feel like this is about the Thrillbilly as much as he was in there.
Who's playing Buddy Jack? That has to be greatly. Buddy Jack was the most interesting character of all. That says a whole lot.
No, I don't. It doesn't list. It's not on there on IMDb. And Thrillbilly isn't on the IMDb either. But we'll change that at some point.
I know.
Luthez
Beard worked with the.
Say that again.
James Beard, the Texas referee.
Yeah.
He did a lot of the work and was probably one of their sources for content.
I think and Luke Hawk, James said today that Luke Hawk was the guy that kind of put him in touch with them. So I think that was kind of cool. I think it's funny what Luthez just wrote is kind of what I was thinking. He looks more like He-Man than Kevin Von Erich. Sean Mega says Jeremy Allen White is a fantastic actor. He's the one that is from Flawless. He is good. I'm very hopeful for this movie. Scott B wants to see that movie that Camille's involved with about Mildred Burke. I think she plays Judy. Nope, don't remember. Judy, you guys remember?
Of course not, because you're asking.
Yeah. Yeah, that looks like a good movie too, but the fact that this one is coming out in December, like it's so weird to think, like, you look at wrestling's popularity right now, and it's probably at I don't want to say it's an all-time high, but it's certainly circling back again where, I mean, so many hours of television are available on a nightly basis. You've got shows competing for eyeballs, 2 major wrestling promotions. We'll talk about that in a moment. And there's movies coming out about wrestling. I really feel like this is next level type stuff. And,
June Byers?
June Byers, there you go. That's it.
Danny Flamingo plays Buddy Roberts. I never heard of him.
Yeah, me neither.
And who plays Ric Flair?
He's an actor. I don't remember his name. He's not a wrestler, but I heard good things about him. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing it, and maybe after we all see it, we'll talk about it here on the podcast. We'll give you our 2 cents on the movie. But on Tuesday night, that's our Power night, right? That's the night that we all talk about Power. You guys join us for the join me for the pre-party, and then we all go watch the NWA. This week they had a little bit of more extra competition because AEW decided to do their pre-show right after Power at 7:30. They did their pre-show, which was Eddie Kingston versus Minoru Suzuki, to lead into their big show that was happening on TBS. They moved to Tuesday night because of Major League Baseball. And then NXT just was loaded up with WWE rosters. It was something said like over 1 million wrestling fans were watching both AEW and the WWE on Tuesday night. And the NWA got roughly 14,000 views. And DK posed a question to me earlier and said, hey, do you think because of the Tuesday night power struggle between WWE and AEW, did it affect the NWA? Did it hurt the viewership for the NWA? Jaden, you're somebody who I know is very knowledgeable when it comes to television, when it comes to wrestling. Do you think that power move between the two big companies affected the NWA?
People have so much wrestling they want to watch. I remember back in the day, I'd watch anything. Now I don't watch anything at all.
That's so true, man.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Go ahead. Sorry.
So if you had to choose, like you got so much wrestling, so much time to do whatever you need to do your laundry, do whatever, and you're going to watch the Tuesday night war, and then do you really going to spend more time watching the NWA? And you know what? I haven't really watched much of it. I catch a little bit here and there in highlights and people post stuff. I'm paying attention more to the NWA than I have in a very long time, and I'm 100% saying that's EC3's. I don't want to say his fault. He's the reason, but I didn't care at all about the NWA Power. Then in fact, I really didn't care about the Tuesday Night War, other than I found out somebody went one-on-one with a former WWE champion, who we'll talk about, I'm sure, later. Playa.
Yeah,
Playa.
DK knows what I'm talking about.
Yep. Hey, you look familiar.
So DK, I mean, same question to you. Like you asked me it, but you tell me your point of view.
I think it had to some effect. And I'm going to go with Jaden's thing of there's only so much,
there's only so much bad wrestling you can watch.
Exactly. And there's plenty of bad wrestling on. So, no, I mean, but seriously, I think if you're ramping up, I'd be interested to see. I just looked, and after 2 days, they've gained a couple more thousand. I'd like to see if it goes up much or not. because I would think that it's one of those things where people go, I can watch that later.
Yeah.
I don't have to watch it right now. I can watch that later and go from there. I mean, and I did take part in the Tuesday Night War. I did watch NXT, and I flipped a couple times to AEW, and they didn't have anything that compelled me to stay. In fact, one thing compelled me to change it right back immediately.
What was that?
They had a segment where I guess Bullet Club or whatever group has stole MJF's world belt.
Yeah, the Bullet Club. The Bullet Club. Yeah.
Gold.
Yeah.
Okay.
No relation to Alliance Gold.
No relation.
No
Don't
relation.
put that evil on him, Ricky Bobby.
Anyway, they were. So MJF was basically like demanding they give him the belt back, and there's like 4 of them in the ring, and
I know what you're talking about.
him just standing at the top of the entrance thing, going, "You need to do the right thing and give me that belt." And it's like, what kind of whiny ass shit is this? I don't want to watch this.
It's a brave new world.
And so I turned it back to NXT and whatever they had going on. It may have been a commercial, I don't know, but I turned it back.
I know there was a controversial angle where they talked about it a couple of times in MJF's past, that he is Jewish, and a lot of people, he had to deal with a lot of hate because of his faith, and because of that, there was a lot of references to quarters, and Juice Robinson had a roll of quarters that said like Friedman on it, and it was in bad taste, and I think it was done, with permission. I don't think that was something that they just slipped in, but
supposedly he was planning to use it as part of anti-hate or something that he was getting ready to do. I want to respond something to James St. Jackson. He goes, with cable, there's DVR, so you can still watch later. And it's true. And that's what some people are going to do. But watching something live, when it's live, is always more exciting.
Yeah.
And so anything you can put off, you will. I mean, trust me, there are going to be plenty of people that watched AEW and watched NXT both.
Yep.
Just can't do it at the same time.
Okay, so they made such a big deal about the ratings, and we also have to think of it this way too. And I heard, I listened to a little bit of Busted Open today, and they mentioned it when talking to Billy Corgan. We'll get to that in just a few minutes too, but they had mentioned that, because there are so many different ways we consume content now, that people are watching it on their phones. They're watching, like DVR, like James H. Jackson said, a live estimation of your ratings or your overnight Nielsen's. It doesn't necessarily carry the same weight as it did 20 years ago because the technology's changed. However, that's still the only real resource that like advertisers use to decide whether they're going to advertise on your platform, on your station, on your program.
Years and years ago, because I had to have been either a teenager or in
the 1400s. Gotcha.
Yeah, exactly. I was either a teenager or in my early 20s. One of the late night news shows, well, not late night, but primetime news shows. So, 2020, whatever type show it was, 60 Minutes, I don't know.
Walter Cronkite?
No, it wasn't him. But they actually did a thing on ratings and what do the ratings mean and how accurate are they. And so they were explaining how the Nielsen's worked at that time and, and all stuff. And remember at that time, if you had 2 TVs, it didn't matter. They only were reading off one.
Right.
And then they would assume X number of people in the household were watching at the same time. So if you had a household of 6 people, they would assume 4 were always watching whatever was on. Yeah, even if there were 3 TVs and only 2 were sitting in there watching. And but they actually did a test, and they had people in like I think New York and LA and Chicago and maybe Dallas Fort Worth or whatever. So they literally did a call. They did their own Nielsen ratings. They did a call of everybody whose last name was Nielsen. And they asked them what they had watched, whatever, and things like that.
It's clever.
And when they matched them up against what the official Nielsen ratings were, they actually matched really close. And they were even able to be more specific, because they were asking, like, "Oh, is there more than one TV? Who was watching what? Everything like that." And so, even though they technically, now it wasn't nationwide, but when they look at the breakdowns just in the cities and stuff like that, they were going like, actually it's very comparable. And I've known other people have also done different scientific tests for, like some kind of statistics class or whatever, where they've done similar things. And they actually show the ratings are pretty accurate for who's watching. Now, you are right.
You are right that the Nielsen family didn't want them to get out that news out, so they blocked out DK. Oh, there he's back.
So,
Clever.
There are other ways to consume, but probably that might add more people, but probably the percentages are going to be pretty close to the same.
They can be way more accurate now, too. It's just not cost effective to be that way. They can make it so your TV is basically spying on you and knows what you're watching and how many people are out there. Your TV already knows who's in front of it now.
I saw a meme the other day. It said nobody listens to me, and then Facebook icon and Google icon are like, we do. It made me laugh. I definitely feel like when these two companies went out there and took the gloves off and tried to fight for that night, I think it certainly is going to impact what the NWA is trying to do on YouTube, for the simple fact of what we all just kind of said. The eyeballs who normally would watch, when they get home from work. Remember, on the West Coast, the NWA starts at 3 p.m. Some of us haven't even got off of work yet. So for you to get home and watch wrestling, you're going to choose between watching the NWA, which will be there tomorrow, next week, next month, whatever, or watching something live, NXT with John Cena, The Undertaker, Cody Rhodes, and all those guys, or watching AEW and all those guys. It's kind of hard to say, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just watch the NWA. And that's not a shot at the NWA. It's still that there is still a pecking order in the world of sports entertainment and pro wrestling. And until something drastically changes, WWE is it. It's the pinnacle. And everything underneath is just kind of falls in line. But I do feel like as things are starting to change, we'll see a greater dynamic when it comes to pro wrestling, when there starts to be a measuring of viewership other than just the Nielsen ratings.
One of the things I've learned in class, and this is from the business class, and the desperation to try to catch your eyeballs, to catch your attention for any kind of advertising, and how even now the most modern advertising is losing its effect with social media advertising, with podcast advertising, with website advertising. All this stuff is really starting to lose a lot of its luster. The social influencers aren't quite getting the same thing that they used to, but there's more desperation out there for them to do so. So there's more money trying to get in there, but they're fighting for every single eyeball nowadays. And right now, there's a joke going around is the only way to get somebody's eyeballs to pay attention to anything is to broadcast it right into their eyes.
By the way, we are available for endorsements and advertising. Contact Jason at hotmail.com.
Who?
It's literally just Jason?
No, it's Jason _ Kaylee. It's easy to remember. All right. So with that being said,
I'm about to say that's impressive. We were the first one to get a Hotmail.
it'd be kind of cool.
Jason.
Wouldn't have that been kind of cool? It's just Jason at hotmail.com.
I couldn't even get I was an early Hotmail person. I couldn't even get Jaden.
You tell you what, you can email me at jason@bucketsforrent.com. I'm the only one there. So, anyways, our boy James H. Jackson says, I pay for YouTube Premium, so I haven't seen a single commercial on YouTube in 11 years. So you're the one that's costing me that advertising dollars.
Actually, you get a small piece of that too, right?
What's that?
You get a small piece of that YouTube Premium money too.
Yeah, no, you do. You do.
But you probably get more of that YouTube Premium money than you get off the actual advertisers.
One of these days I'll break it down and I'll send it to you. Eric Dell says, look, if Mims comes out next week in a fur coat claiming the new TV deal is because he captured the championship, I mean, that would have been some really good forethought. However, you got to remember these shows were taped back in August. August. So I don't know that those TV deals that they announced today were in play. Now, here's the thing. They didn't really announce that they have TV deals. They said that they signed agreements for TV, but we still don't have an official channel, day, time, what the content is going to be.
Agreements for TV could just mean they have an agreement to make a pilot. Right.
And let's be honest, guys, I haven't started watching it yet, but I've heard a lot about Netflix's documentary style with Ohio Valley. What's it called? Wrestling or Wrestler or something like that?
I think it's called The Wrestlers.
The Wrestlers. Would a documentary like that on the NWA, would that fill your happiness for a wrestling program for the NWA?
Go ahead, DK. You.
Well, all right. What's his name? The former country gentleman, Andy, Bob. I can't remember his name. And he kind of spilled the beans when he was saying his goodbye to the NWA.
Wait, real quick. That guy was working, man, because after he got, left the company, we'll just say that, he was making it on social media seem like him and AJ were gonna reunite on Power this week. He's like, it's time to get the band back together. Like, who are you working to, buddy? You're not gonna be on the program. What's the point of it?
No. So anyhow, but there have been rumors of a Follow Billy Corgan Around documentary. And I don't know if it's only following him around with wrestling or other stuff as well. And so then, like you said, that's the question. If he's on, let's say, CW, since they're the smallest network, aren't they? So
there's a lot smaller than CW.
Yeah, technically probably Sinclair.
Well, My Network TV, is that still a thing?
I don't know. I don't have TV.
I mean, neither.
Well, and that's what I'm thinking of is something over the air that is actually claiming to be up in the wheelhouse with Fox and all that stuff, even if they're not. But so, looking at the big 5 or 6 or whatever the smallest one is. So if there's a deal to follow Billy Corgan around and record him backstage at NWA or Smashing Pumpkins or both, is that good? I mean, it could get some attention on the thing. Is it bad? Is it indifferent? And I tend to lean towards it's probably in the long run indifferent. But I mean, I think it'll probably get some people to go, ooh, what? Let's check that out. But again, if you're probably a fan, there's too many things to grab your attention. And that's where you're at. I'm just looking here at the viewership for NWA Power.
Well, wait. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit more about these TV deal, because I wanted to know what Jaden's point of view was, and then there's some more to discuss too. Because I mean, they said it was one of the top 20 networks, and so like just over the top TV networks, there's not 20 of them. But if you start talking about the top 20 cable channels, and I pulled this up, this was from what was my source here, IndieWire.com. And they said that the top 20 channels in 2022 were as follows, and I'll go from 20 to 1. Paramount, Hallmark Movies and Mysteries, the A&E Network, Lifetime Television, Investigation Discovery, TV Land, USA Network, the Food Network, Discovery Channel, History, CNN, the Inspiration Network, TLC, TBS Network, the Hallmark Channel, TNT, H&G TV, MSNBC, ESPN, and Fox News Channel. Now, by virtue of eliminating anything to do with a USA or anything owned by Universal, I mean, that takes your USA out of the equation. That takes out MSNBC, any of the NBC properties. And then you take out anything that's owned currently by what is it? Who bought Turner? What was the company?
Time Warner.
Yeah, Warner Discovery, right? They
Which, by the way, is up for sale.
Yeah, well, so apparently so is ABC. So, but as of right now, if Warner Discovery is on that list of, because of the connection with AEW, that eliminates another third of the channels that are on that would be available, the networks that are in the top 20. So
those are all cable, though. Have you noticed?
Right.
Yeah.
Doesn't count the Christian Broadcast Network, which is, I think, actually has more viewers, overall eyeballs, than the CW does. There was a time when I remember the CBN actually had more television stations than either UPN or the WB back in that day.
Yeah. And look, like you said earlier, Sinclair Broadcasting owns a bunch of TV stations, although I hope to God that's not where they end up. There's a lot of trivial trauma with that. And of course, like I know here in California, Southern California, our old Fox owned regional sport network was purchased by Bally's, which is like a division of Sinclair or something like that. And those are going out of business. So I don't think you want to end up on that network either, right?
Well, the Sinclair itself isn't going out of business. It's
Right.
not doing well, but they are pretty much trying to eliminate all their sports networks that they bought from Disney.
And then I can't remember the guy's name, but there used to be a late night talk show host. I think it's Byron Allen, who offered like $10 billion to buy ABC from Disney. And it's like, holy crap. Could you imagine if that happens? That would definitely change a dynamic for all entertainment. And, and with all that being said too, before we go further along with this, is like the negotiating rights for both the UFC and Monday Night Raw are up in 2 years. And in that time, there's going to be a lot of competing networks that are going to be interested in that. Endeavor has leveraged Raw as the number one WWE program, and they received an increase to move SmackDown to USA by 40%, is what I heard. So I don't know, man. Maybe this is who knows what the plan is with Billy and what's going on here, but this sounds pretty crazy, and it could be potentially lucrative, or it could be nothing, right?
I think the situation going on with the writer strike and the actor strike helped us allow a lot too.
Mm-hmm.
And
well,
I think
the actor strike's still going on too. The writer strike is over, but the actors are still striking for their equity and all that good stuff. So it could really, think of it this way. Like, I'm a huge Marvel fan. I know you are too, Jaden, and a lot of us, we like our sci-fi stuff. a lot of that stuff isn't going to come out when they thought it was going to, because they haven't been able to film the rest of the movies. There's a lot of TV shows that are stuck halfway through. They were shooting Daredevil for Disney, and they started to do some reshoots, and then they decided to scrap the whole thing, and they're probably going to start over from scratch once the strike is over. But they were expecting that out before the end of the year. That's not going to be the case.
Yeah, the only thing we have to look forward to is Cobra Kai. That's already done. I think that's in post-production at the worst case scenario.
Oh, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, but there's not a lot on television right now that I give a crap. I mean, after I'm done here, I'm going to watch Loki, but that's been done for a while.
Yeah, I need to check that out. I haven't had an opportunity to. You know what? I've been binging Shameless, and the two shows that I've been watching the most right now are Star Wars Rebels, because I want to watch that all before I get to Ahsoka, and then I've been watching Shameless. Those are my two haunts for now. What are you watching?
I watch Lower Decks early in now because it's my Star Trek show. That's the only thing on with that right now because I won't watch Discovery. It's been so bad.
Sorry.
I watched Ahsoka until that ended, and then I'm watching the second episode of Loki tonight. And otherwise, I've been trying to. For some reason, I've been on a weird 9/11 kick, so I've been watching everything I can 9/11 recently. I don't know what started that. It just happened for some reason.
That's a little dark, my friend. We'll move on from that. Is Ahsoka over already?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Ahsoka ended on last Wednesday, I think it was, and then Loki came out last Thursday.
I'm
last Tuesday and last Thursday. I think that's right.
I'm looking forward to both of them, but like I said, I don't want to watch Ahsoka without watching Rebels.
Rebels was okay and then got really good. So hopefully you get to the really good part soon.
I think I'm in the really good part right now, where I don't want to spoil anything for anybody who's planning on watching it, but it's been
the Death Star blows up. Oh, sorry.
Oh gosh, darn it! Darth Vader is
Luke's father. Yeah,
father.
Leia's his sister.
So
they came from the southern part of the galaxy.
Late breaking news. This just handed to me from Dave Scooby, literally posting it in the chat. I haven't been able to fact check it, but he said it was just posted on their NWA Instagram. Southern Six versus the Headbangers at Samhain. What the hell? I didn't know about that.
A couple of Jersey boys.
Yeah, the couple of Jersey boys against a couple of Tennessee boys. That's an exciting matchup.
Did you know they used to wrestle under the name the Spiders?
Yeah, and did you know that they used to be former NWA World Tag Team Champions?
Yes, I did know that. And I believe they've held the NWA US. I'm trying to remember now.
Now I'm going to have to look it up. Thanks.
They held some kind of NWA belt for Carluzzo before they went to the Smoky Mountain, and then they went to the WWE. Maybe after they went to Smoky Mountain, maybe after they went to the WWE. I don't remember. But I remember they were some kind of something.
Now I'm going to look it up. Why is it the Midnight Headbangers? Is that right? No, that's not right.
No, that was a great television show at midnight on MTV.
You're thinking of Headbangers Ball with Ricky Rackman.
I go a little bit before Rackman, but yeah.
All right, well, Mosh and Thrasher. Okay, let's see what titles they had. A lot. They were the NWA World Tag Team Champions. That's the only thing that shows up here. They held those titles. They won those on Raw. It's so weird to think about that. 98, you had the NWA titles changing hands on WWE programming.
Same thing for Smoky Mountain at one time.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess that's a weird get, but I kind of think it's a little bit cool. I mean, I haven't seen the Headbangers in a couple of years.
Yeah, since they wrestled for SmackDown, I think. I mean, I know they've been around here. Every once in a while I see their names on it somewhere. I think they did something with the Monster Factory not long ago. Yeah, they came from the Monster Factory.
Yeah, I mean, they just had a match recently in Pennsylvania for Imagine Wrestling, and then ALW. They were at the T-Mart Promotions at the Gathering where they took the it was Ricky Morton and Thomas Rich versus the Headbangers. They called them the York Foundation. I guess they did some stuff with ISPW. Wow, I mean they've been relatively active for a while. 2022 they only did one show. 2021 they did a couple of shows, but they were working in 2020, 2019. Wow, I had no idea they were still around like this.
Oh yeah, the Headbangers were very nice guys. Glenn Ruth and Chad Warrington. That was their
Chaz Warrington.
Yeah, very very nice guys. I remember seeing them at Larry Sharp's events with Dennis Carluzzo, and I remember there was only one Spider. Glenn Ruth started, and Chaz Warrington was the at least it's not P for cleavage. Chaz Warrington was later, and it was a singles wrestler for a while, so they became the Spiders. They were feuding with the Lords of Darkness, who were Dwayne Gill and Barry Hardy.
Dwayne Gilbert himself.
So it was interesting. But anyway, yeah, and now they just need to bring back the Spirit Squad.
Well, I mean, I would take a Nick Nemeth.
No, I was thinking of the other two, Kenny Dykstra and I can't think of. He's so talented. I can't think of his name.
You're gonna make me look it up, aren't you?
Yeah, he's. I'm seeing him. I know him. He's probably the one that's the most. Well, Dolph's the most talented, but he's pretty close. Everybody always gave Dykstra. I remember Dykstra everybody was considering him the.
He was supposed to be like the future, wasn't he?
Yeah, Ken something.
Mikey.
No. Mikey. Yeah, what was Mikey's name?
Mikey. Mike Mondo.
Mike Mondo. Yeah. Mike Mondo was really, really talented too. So I think that could have been they could have been something with the NWA. And last time I saw them on national television, they were wrestling for the SmackDown tag team titles.
Kenny and Mikey in 2019 showed up for MLW as the Spirit Squad. And the fact they did a couple of shows in New York as the Spirit Squad too. Canada, yeah, they've been wrestling a lot as the Spirit Squad. That's something else I had no idea was happening. They were working the House of Hardcore matches as the Spirit Squad. This is amazing. They were working in Germany with the WXW.
Mikey Mondo was very, very talented. Kenny Dykstra was very, very, very talented. In fact, every member of the Spirit Squad was really, really talented. Whatever happened to that Nicky kid?
I don't know. I didn't even know that they had a run in SmackDown in 2016.
Yeah, when they split the brands and SmackDown tag team titles, and Daniel Bryan was the general manager.
What the? You know what? I will admit that was a weird time in my life, and wrestling definitely had a back seat, but I cannot wrap my head around that. That's crazy.
That was the last enjoyable time, I think, with the WWE, because SmackDown was so much a better show than Raw at the time, and there was Rhino and Heath Slater with the tag champs, and there was some reason that was just great. Like, it was weird, and they had this late night SmackDown live show with Renee Paquette. What was her name then? Renee something. Mostly good. I don't know.
Renee Paquette, I think, is right, isn't it?
That's her real name, but what was it before? Renee Young?
Oh, that's it, yeah.
And then Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon, and it was really just entertaining. It was really good.
Huh.
Then it all went to crap.
But that's not the first time I've heard of that. That's so wild to me. Okay. So, hey, there's DK. He's back. So with that being said, we spent some time. We don't know what these two TV announcements are, right? Like we don't until we know. We don't really know anything. The rumor is that one might be documentary style, one might be reality show. I mean, we don't really know what exactly we're going to get just yet. So I don't want to get way excited about a TV show until they tell me when, and where Power is going to be. What channel is it going to air on? What time is it going to air on? And if they start signing some more talent.
Can I tell you what I hope?
Sure. I would love to hear what you hope.
I hope it's a combination of the 10 pounds of gold like they used to do with then the match that they're promoting.
That would be great. I don't think that's what's going to happen. You know, it's funny that you mentioned the 10 pounds of gold because when Corgan was on Busted Open, he did mention the YouTube platform, and James H. Jackson has a quote right here. He says, YouTube is a terrible partner for wrestling. I'm just going to say that flat out lately because who knows how these AI systems work. They've been squeezing all the wrestling content creators. No one can figure it out, but everyone's numbers are down. And I hear that, and then I still see that they have videos that are still, 50,000 for the first episode of the new era of the NWA Power. But with all that being said, though, too, what he also mentioned is that the 10 pounds of gold, which launched it, he even mentioned Lagana by name, which I think it's the first time I've heard him mention Lagana since they got rid of Lagana. It was very interesting to hear him mention that. I think that'd be a pretty cool idea. Maybe something that they could save for YouTube, because I know he's not going to go exclusive to wherever. He'll still be producing content on YouTube, and who knows, maybe it'll still be the same show, but just in a delay where it will air on the network first and on YouTube later. I don't know, but this is all just hearsay. This is all speculation because there has been no formal announcement of when and where and what the new TV shows will bring to the NWA.
Did you get to the territorial system when I wasn't on?
No, we haven't even started on that. It's just we've been flowing from one thing to the next.
Well, then here's a nice segue for you. How about let's talk about the territorial system?
Territory system. Well, and it's kind of, this is very interesting, and I'm glad that you were able to make tonight's show because of all people who know about the past of the NWA territorial system. You're someone that was ingrained in that territory system, whether it be when you were working for Fred or with Fred, or where you're working with Dr. Lawrence Zirconium. You've been a part of that process through like multiple wrestling promotions that were associated with the National Wrestling Alliance, not just Dog, but Force One, and even to a lesser extent, some of the earlier stuff. James H. Jackson says we need an NWA Dog Pro. Would you ever want to go back to that standard, Jaden? Do you think you could talk Lawrence Zirconium into that?
Into the NWA?
Yeah.
I don't think we would be a good fit into the NWA. First of all, I'm a bassist. Apparently, Billy Corgan doesn't get along with bassists. Add to that, if you think I'm opinionated and I have an ego, and I open up what I say, favorite Dr. Zirconium, what comes out of his mouth.
I see what goes into his mouth. I don't want to see what comes out.
Hey, it was just pizza and cheesesteaks and everything else. Which, by the way, you got to come back. We got to get some more meals. DK's got to come next time. We'll take a trip. We'll go to Cali. You guys come back to Jersey, and then we'll go to Texas, and hopefully there's some good barbecue there.
I think there is.
I know a couple places.
Just keep away the avocado away from me, okay? And all that mayonnaise apparently everybody else likes, but at least it's the first time, other than tacos and pizza, I think that's the first thing we agreed with food-wise is mayonnaise.
Yeah, I'm not a big mayo guy.
Me neither. Really disgusting because they call it mayonnaise, and that just makes it even worse.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. Go back into the territorial. Yeah, that's easy for me to say. Territorial system. I'm probably the one that's most excited about it. And I know Big Chris Daw is going to be like, "Oh no, it's the Antichrist with the territorial system."
That's not acceptable. That's not how he sounds like at all.
That's how I read his voice whenever I see him on the Discord or whatever. That's how I read his things. Just KD. But no, seriously, I think if they do it right, it's the smartest thing they ever did. And we've been asking for it, and I know they have to be listening to the show because I've actually been a proponent for it, and there looks like they're doing something very similar to what we suggested.
Yeah.
If we can get a couple good promotions where they can run a small territory, where they can run events for them, like Joe Kazana Promotions and Exodus Pro, and if they're now that the Heels TV show is over, maybe we'll see Wildcat back. If they could do something like that and have them run shows and have to keep the NWA name out there and get like a couple, 300-400 people, at these different things every month, twice a month, wherever how they have to they do it. Keep the NWA name out there, get the NWA champions out there, and then when they do touring, when they do pay-per-views, when they do stuff like that, use that as the foundation to build that building and that crowd and to get talent. People don't realize that before WWF really did what they did, and even early in the WWF days, the promotion didn't promote the wrestling events. They had local area promoters, and they would promote an event for the cut of that. They would put out their own money for advertising, and they would do all this stuff to get the word out. And they would call the local papers, and they would set up the radio station interviews, and they would put out the posters and the flyers. It was very, very grassroots, and there was one person in an area who would be an area promoter, and that was their job. They would get paid, or they would get a cut of the revenue if they promoted a building. I remember there's a story of Junkyard Dog calling one out on Mid-South, and the guy talking about how he couldn't wait to hang out at his house when they would go to the event, and the guy was a card-carrying Ku Klux Klan member. And he would get pissed off because he was a dog who was of a certain skin color would sit there and talk about he would hang out on the porch with his good friend, that promoter. And of course, that good promoter would sure love when the dog was on that card. He made a lot of money. He never refused the dog to be booked. He just didn't like the fact that he was black. But that's the way the old wrestling used to be. There used to be the people would do the hard work, the grassroots, the putting the foot to the streets, and that's exactly what this can be. Now, not only could they see the big stars of the NWA in these big championship matches, and they could see their local guys on these cards that bring a little extra flavor to the crowd, and so they can come see these people. They can build up these young guys to be a part of the undercard, and then have these big matches from all these, big stars with the NWA, and have a traveling champion and mean that championship, have that championship mean something, and then have somebody to be able to do all that grassroots and build into that. That's so smart. I don't understand why this is what the territorial system should be. They should have somebody there, preferably with local TV, and they would do this grassroots thing and use the NWA name and get a rub from it and use the NWA champions and put them out there and then be part to help the big thing. If Dog had TV, I guarantee that it would be to their best interest to have Dog part of this NWA, because nobody goes out and puts posters out and gets information out and gets advertising free and paid like Dr. Zirconium. So I can imagine, and I help them with that too. And I think for some reason I'm the only one talking.
I did see that guy hustle when we were out there in Jersey. I saw him glad-handing the neighborhood and getting that poster up. So I get what you're saying. Go ahead, continue. Sorry, I was just trying to. Yeah,
it's so good for building up a grassroots following, because you know what, the NWA is going to. If TV's good, that's great. If it gets something on TV, that's great. NWA now needs to do something to get their name out there, and I think grassroots is fine, because yes, they have a good social influencing, a good social media presence, and they have the YouTube channel. But does that really help them get any kind of traction right now? They need something to get traction, and I think this would do it.
I mean, DK, let's hear your point of view. I don't want to dominate the conversation.
What?
about the territorial system, and if you think it's a benefit for the NWA, if so, why? If not, why?
Well, I think we actually talked about this. I was kind of surprised. I didn't really think Billy would go for a territory. But, the pluses of a territory, you got more places to work, more people doing something, more talent to look at, more things to grab, more places to defend your titles, especially if you don't let them overcrowd their own promotion with titles. On the other hand, you got to make sure that promotion's wanting to be part of something bigger and willing to take advantage of that.
Yes.
We talked about, we talked about some of the former promotions and stuff like that bring in the world champion, put him in the mid card against a mid card guy, and then have their local championship, the main event, against their two top guys.
Yeah.
And, and there is a balance. You can't keep bringing in the world champion to beat your top guy.
Yes.
And so you kind of got to, and you can't bring in your top champion, or you can't have your top guy lose to every NWA champion there is.
Right.
And so there's balance that needs to be done. But then I think you can look at some of these champions and go, especially for like the U.S. tag titles, the national championship, stuff like that, where you can probably put them in one of these promotions and let that kind of be their home place for a while. Let them be one of the top guys for that promotion for a while. And, obviously the very first promotion, the guy that's behind it just happens to be the world champion. And so, the thing happens, what happens in a year if EC3 is no longer the world champion?
Right.
Is Exodus Pro still willing to be a Midwest, have an NWA Midwest championship, or are they suddenly going to want their own world title? And, when done right, when working for the greater good, it can be a great thing. Wrestling promoters working for the greater good is a rare thing. And, I've always had a saying. I go, you just can't trust a wrestling promoter. And every wrestling promoter I've ever said that to has agreed with me. They just always thought they were the one exception.
So I'm torn. I'm exactly what Jaden was talking about, because I do see potential, a great potential, especially if it's so we have one promotion that's been announced, one affiliate that's been announced, and it's the promotion of your world's heavyweight champion. It's a promotion he just started up. They did 2 pretty decent shows, pretty good crowds, used a lot of the NWA talent. It's everything you want for an affiliate. And as I look up and down some of the other wrestling promotions that are featuring a lot of NWA talent, I mean, look, I can pull up one of the promotions I think should be a shoe-in is this promotion, Crossfire Wrestling. Now, I know that their family's connected to the NWA, but when you look at the show that they're putting on, they're doing a back-to-back nights. It's the KFW with its sister promotion, Flawless, and they're calling it Black Harvest. They're featuring matches like, Kenzie Page versus Kylie Page, and then they're doing, Camille versus Ari Alexander. They're having a junior heavyweight title match with Hunter Drake challenging Colby Carino. You're also going to see Ricky Morton taking on Rolando, Ricky and Kerry taking on Rolando and this other guy. And then on night number 2, you're going to see Ella Envy versus Danny Jordan. You're going to see, Kenzie Page taking on Alice Crowley for their inaugural Flawless Championship. There's a lot of very an interesting dynamic there, and I feel like they would be a good promotion that might be an affiliate of the NWA. We've championed the promotion, Joe Kazana Promotions. Joe Kazana came on here, was a great dude. Love talking to that guy, and he's very passionate about the NWA. He's already featuring lots of NWA talent on his shows. Earlier this year, we had Boca Raton versus the NWA. Later this year, we're having the FTW, I think that's what it's called, the Invasion show that's coming up. What is it? This one, the Invasion show that's coming up. Fight the World Wrestling in Florida. So I mean, there's a lot of promotions that are leveraged to be good partners. There's a lot of promotions that would make a lot of sense, but kind of to what DKM was saying. At what point, like you guys, anybody who's been following the NWA for a long time, we've seen it. Some promotions outgrow the NWA. Some promotions don't bring enough value to the NWA. We've seen it all. And for every championship wrestling from Hollywood that was under the NWA banner, there was also a promotion like NWA Bluegrass that brought in great talent, but no one knew it happened because they had no presence. They didn't sell videos. They didn't record their shows. If a tree falls in the woods, does it make a sound? So it's one of these deals where Bruce Tharp, when he was the owner of the NWA, he had some requirements and criteria for members to be a part of the NWA, but even he didn't follow through with those criterias, and even he didn't keep that up. So it's kind of a hard. How do you enforce good members to be good members? Are you only entrusting those who are directly connected to the NWA to become affiliates? Billy says he had over 40 inquiries about promotions that want to be a part of this affiliation, and several of those were international. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to think.
That reminds me of what Bruce Tharp used to say.
Well, yeah, Bruce Tharp was. Remember? Do you guys remember when Bruce Tharp was on this podcast and how he promised the world, "Oh, we're going to have Jushin Thunder Liger challenge for the 10 pounds of gold. We're going to have the NWA and New Japan." Some of those things were correct, but more than not, they were not. More often than not, those were a lot of things that were promised that never delivered.
They're going to have a publishing arm.
I was excited. I thought I was going to get to read.
We already had 2 books planned.
Yeah. One of the things that Billy said today on Busted Open that I really liked hearing is that this is an opportunity for them to grow in a way that not only, sure, it's cool to have your NWA champions have an opportunity to go to these towns and be a part of what's happening in these areas, and it brings the NWA brand there, and that's cool. But what he was excited about was being able to see that talent up close and personal that he probably wouldn't have seen otherwise. And he said that he had picked 2 guys out of I guess like the 20 or so that showed up for the tryouts. I guess he picked 2 of those guys to be a part of what they're going to be doing for the next Power tapings in Nashville. And he says, and there was a handful of other guys that he thought would be really good as members of the NWA roster that he might even consider signing as well. So, if it works as a farming system, that might be kind of cool too.
And if you want to get into the NWA, well, you may not be able to get into them directly, but maybe indirectly through these promotions as a stepping stone to do so. The NWA name still holds weight, no matter what anybody tries to tell you. It's the driving factor. If this became whatever the Billy Corgan's promotion was before this, I forget what it was called, and it has Billy Corgan involved, it still gets some attention, but it would not be anywhere near as much attention it was for the NWA. I doubt any of us would have watched it. I didn't watch his promotion that he ran before, and there was some big stars there.
It looked interesting to me, and I don't know who said it here earlier. It might have been James H. Jackson. I'm not sure who said it, but they have a deal with the there it is. Yeah, it was James, the Premier Streaming Network, and that's that Freddie Prinze Jr. backed wrestling streaming service. And I know there's a lot of great companies that are working with them already. So I mean, I think there will be a way to watch that program as well. Hell, they might take the leftover YouTube audience from the NWA if the NWA is leaving YouTube. I'm not sure what the plan is, but I know that they're going to crown a new champion. I know that Their first event under the NWA banner is coming up very soon in December. And we know that EC3 will be defending the title, and he's going to be defending against, and I don't know his status either with the NWA, but he's going to be defending against, what's his name?
Fodder.
Fodder, thank you. Hello, Mutter. Hello, Fodder. He'll be taking on Fodder as part of their first NWA.
Is that Heath Slater?
Yeah, Heath Slater will be on the card.
How come he can't tell against Heath Slater? He needs to win the championship. He's got kids.
Well, and that's the thing. They're going to be crowning a NWA Midwest champion, and maybe it will be Heath Slater. Maybe it'll be Aaron Stevens.
So I have a question for you, since we're talking about that in the NWA Midwest Championship, or
Sure.
NWA Exodus Pro Midwest Championship, or NWA possibly something championship. Our dear former friend Dave Lagana.
Hey, I still consider him a friend.
He hated me. He did talk to me once in a while.
You do?
He did. He hasn't since I deleted his Twitter, which is the only way I had to contact him, I think.
Oh.
Yeah. He would make fun of the, Missouri Italian Junior Heavyweight Championship and stuff like that. So are there dangers of title inflation? I mean, the NWA has too many titles just as an NWA promotion. So, I mean, what happens when we have a NWA Midwest champion, NWA Southern champion, NWA Southwest champion, and NWA over there champion and everything. I mean, and then, they got to have a junior heavyweight champion, and then they got to have a tag team champion, and then they got to have a women's champion.
Well,
and, is there a danger of a NWA Missouri Italian Junior Heavyweight Championship?
Yes, and it'd be great, and it'd be glorious, like the Texarkana Television Championship. It'd be amazing.
Wasn't that Larry Sweeney?
Larry Sweeney, yeah.
I that's the replica I want next.
Real quick though, yes, the NWA has way too many titles, but it's funny because I was watching an entire month, I think it was like April of like 87 or something like that. And the NWA Saturday night programming had the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, the NWA World Tag Team Championship, the NWA World Television Championship, the NWA United States Championship, the NWA United States Tag Team Championship, the NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship, the NWA Florida Heavyweight Championship, the UWF Heavyweight Championship, UWF Television Championship, the UWF Tag Team Championship,
so it's like an AEW show.
The Western States Heritage Championship were all defended. World Six-Man Championship were all defended or talked about or shown in some way, shape, or form during that month.
That was funny. I don't care if you guys laughed or not. That was hilarious.
I wasn't listening to you.
I said it was like an AEW show.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, that was actually very funny. Clap. Anyway, but I didn't feel like there was too many belts then, and it's so weird how that's such a thing that they had all those things and it didn't feel, because at least those titles felt like they were something.
Well, and
maybe not the Florida.
I think that's the big point right there, is those titles meant something, whereas the rich story tradition of a television title that just was made in 2020 that spent half of 2020 sitting on a shelf somewhere. It's kind of hard to have that prestige. And then also when you talk about the national title, where 3 times it was forfeited for a bigger prize, it's hard to make those things relevant. I think by having that farm system in place, and let's just say, for example, right, this Midwest Championship, it will find its way on an episode of Power every now and then, but it's not going to be the center point. And it might be at a pay-per-view, but it won't be like the center point. But to what DKM said, if they do decide to go with a division of each, men's, women's, national tag team, and all that other stuff, then yes, I 100% agree. Like, things will muddy the waters, and you don't want that. But I personally don't have a problem with them introducing a Midwest title or a Southern title, and then that title gets a rub when they're in that town, or occasionally featured on a pay-per-view. Like, to me, I think what would be great is if somebody like Kerry Morton, and I know he's not a big fan favorite around here, but if Kerry Morton were to win like the Midwest Championship, he would defend that title on that program, and then he would wear the belt on Power, but he wouldn't be defending that title. It would just be a belt that he has in his possession. And I feel like a guy like Kerry Morton kind of gets a little bit of rub to the belt if he's champion.
Yeah, speak for yourself. I like Kerry Morton.
Well, I do too. That's okay.
I'm the one that doesn't.
Well,
You still like him still?
No, I still don't.
Is it still Ricky Morton hate?
What?
Or is it nepotism hate?
No, it doesn't really have it. I thought maybe I'd change once he lost the world title, because that I very much felt was nepotism. I certainly didn't feel like he deserved it. And I think that was purely a Ricky Morton move, in that, we'll have Ricky with him or whatever. But no, I've always felt he was sloppy. And although, like personality-wise, he's much better as a heel, and I prefer this persona of him, I still find him sloppy when he wrestles.
Michael Hayes.
Yes, Michael Hayes was sloppy.
Real quick, I do want to point something out with regards to Kerry Morton. Multiple times, William Patrick Corgan said that guy's the future. Like, if you don't like him, I'm sorry, but you're going to see a lot more of him. I mean, when Billy Corgan was in Mexico hyping up the AAA versus NWA event, he had Kerry Morton with him representing the NWA. That was the guy. And then Matthew Underwood just said it right now. He also said it today on the Busted Open. The two of the names that he brought up as the three names he mentioned as the future of the NWA were Kerry Morton, Silas Mason, and Kenzie Page. And I kind of have to agree with him on
I agree with 2 out of the 3.
Eric Dale says he wants to see Kerry Morton punched in the mouth. Matthew Underwood says Kerry Morton isn't a fan favorite. I like Kerry Morton. I liked him after he was on here. I really feel like that guy's got a lot of charisma. Maybe his in-ring is not where you would like it to be, DK, but I think I see him to be very serviceable in the ring. Maybe he's not the best wrestler out there, but I think he's a guy that's going to talk himself into a lot of opportunities.
And look, he could grow and change over time too. I'm not claiming he'll never be good.
What you're saying is he's the next Gino Hernandez.
Not necessarily. I'll tell you who the next Gino Hernandez is.
Ooh, let's hear it.
Dominic Mysterio.
Oh yeah, that's great. That's what a good call.
And let me tell you something. Now that since he's become the chicken shit heel, and has Mammy or whatever her name is out there, as his little guardian and can't do anything on his own and all that stuff.
Are you talking about Nick Aldis?
Right. And no, we're still talking about Dominic Mysterio.
Sorry.
What that's done is that's released him from the pressure of having to be as good as his dad. And I think it's given him a chance to develop now. I see him developing. Is he excellent in the ring? No. But is he better than he was a year ago in the ring? Yes.
Couldn't have got much worse.
Well, and you're right. And it was one of those things that wasn't really fair to put him in the situation that he was put in. And maybe that's the same with Kerry.
Well, you brought up Dominic, and you've been talking about him, so I'll share my little bit about it. I was at a Raw a couple weeks ago. He was in the ring with Dragon Lee. Now, obviously, Dragon Lee is an an amazing luchador. Some people are saying he is the next guy that's going to be the Rey Mysterio. That's going to be the crossover star, and I think he's fantastic. In that match with Dominic Mysterio, I did not feel at one time that he was outclassed, and I did not feel at one time that he was out of place. Was he the best wrestler in the ring? No, but he looked really good against somebody who I think is a great athlete, great wrestler in the ring, and that makes me so excited for Dominic Mysterio in the WWE. And I'm not saying he's perfect by any of the long shot, but from where he was to where he is now, it's incredible.
I think Dominic's going to be really good because he has that Guerrero blood in him.
Exactly. Now, go search, see if you can find the video. It's out there somewhere. Sometimes it's on YouTube. Sometimes it's on some of the other services. But it's of Harley Race versus David Von Erich in a 2 out of 3 falls 30-minute match, which ends in a draw. There's no falls at all. And it was the one that was supposed to launch David. And, at the end, Harley Race, makes the comment that one day, you'll be winning. And this was like 6 months into Harley Race's second reign. And so it was kind of a prime Harley Race. And you can watch that match, and you can tell Harley Race is leading David through the match. I mean, if you know anything about wrestling, you can watch and you can see. But David had the ability and the skill and the thing to be successfully led by Harley Race.
Yeah.
And you can see the development. And I think, probably with Dragon Lee, I think Dominic probably has the ability to be led. He just needs to mature. But he is that perfect. I want to see you punched in the mouth. I want to see you beat up. I don't even care if you win or lose the match, just as long as you get beat up at the end. And, I made that comment about Tully Blanchard when he was wrestling
Ronnie Garvin
in the Take Fist matches that one year that Dusty won the world title at all those Great American Bashes. They actually split the number of matches they won, but it didn't matter because it didn't matter who won. Because at the end, Ronnie Garvin beat the snot out of him.
Yeah, Tully was on his back, every one of them.
And so,
win or lose, he was on his back.
Yeah, kind of like some women I know. But anyway.
You met my ex-girlfriend?
All of them. Anyway.
That's because all my exes live in Texas.
And yes, exactly. While I was a Ronnie Garvin fan, I was more a Tully Blanchard hater. And, I've made the comment before. I hated Tully Blanchard and thought he was the worst thing in pro wrestling. It wasn't until years later that I realized he was exactly what they wanted him to be. I couldn't figure out why a promotion would use him. I didn't think he was any good. It's like, no, man, he was great. Because I wanted to see the guy get punched out and beat up every single time. I always wanted to see it. And I was willing to pay cold, hard cash to watch him get beat up. It didn't matter if it was Ronnie Garvin, Dusty Rhodes, Sam Houston,
the Road Warriors, the Rock and Roll Express.
Anybody.
Yeah.
As long as he got his ass kicked, I was a happy man.
Do you remember when he worked for Southwest Championship Wrestling, his father's own promotion?
Oh, sure.
And everybody else had a T-shirt that said, they were this, that, and everything. And Tully Blanchard's shirt said, "I hate Tully Blanchard."
No, but that's awesome.
His own father marketed a shirt that said, "I hate Tully Blanchard."
Not that it's the same, but similar. There used to be in SoCal and Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, there was a "I Hate Johnny Yuma" T-shirt that was produced by Pretty Peter Avalon and Ray Rosas, and it was one of the hotter selling shirts. And I kind of regret never buying it because I would certainly wear it to any NWA Power show.
Maybe I should make "I Hate Dave Dahl" shirts. It'd probably sell like wildfire. Except to you, Dave.
You're probably right.
Except to you, Jay. You're the only fan of Dave Dahl, apparently.
I was just trying to be a positive influence in a relatively rough audience.
And Roddy Piper put it best when he told Hulk Hogan, they wouldn't be cheering you so much if they weren't booing me.
It's true.
And I think, same with like the Freebirds here in Texas. We love the Von Erichs, but man, we hated the Freebirds. And not when the Von Erichs were feuding with Chris Adams and Gino Hernandez, the dynamic duo and stuff like that, there was probably as many Gino and Chris fans as there were Von Erich fans.
Yeah.
But you weren't a Freebird fan unless they were facing Skandar Akbar.
Well, didn't they have heat with? Didn't they have a positive reaction when they were feuding with Flair?
Early on, no.
No, actually, Flair got cheered against. What was it, Gordy?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he and Gordy wrestled like a year apart. And the first time they hated Gordy, and the second time they liked Gordy because they hated Flair. And it was what was funny is the night that Kerry won the world title on a Sunday afternoon. So Monday night we went to the show, and Kerry was defending the world title against Terry Gordy, and Ric Flair was wrestling Michael Hayes. And so everybody who hated Ric Flair the day before loved Ric Flair Monday night because he was going to beat up Michael Hayes for us, and that's what we needed. And I think Buddy Roberts came out and caused a disqualification or something. But yeah, I mean,
I know this sounds weird because I watched the Von Erichs and Freebirds things live too because it was on television around here on some late night station. I loved the Freebirds, but I could not stand Buddy Roberts because he was the one that was always getting beat up. He was the one that was always losing. He was the one that was getting beat up. I thought Bam Bam was amazing. I thought Michael Hayes was cool as hell. And I couldn't understand why they had Buddy Roberts around because all he did was get beat up. And then later, just like Tully, I realized how good Buddy Roberts was.
Yeah. Kind of the same here.
And he got beat up because he was the only one that stayed all year. Everybody else went around.
Yeah, I remember Kevin Von Erich talking about him one time. And he goes, Buddy Roberts had a job. He goes, and Buddy Roberts' job was to get his ass beat. And he goes, and Buddy Roberts was very good at his job.
Yes, he was.
And, that was the thing. He wasn't the one that always took the pin, but he was the one that
always took the ass whooping.
Yeah.
People wanted it to be Hayes, and they deferred it to Buddy. And yeah, well, the Freebirds were the first heels I ever liked, by the way.
That's probably a true statement for me.
Freebirds being the first heels, or the people wanted to see Hayes get killed, but instead they watched Buddy get killed.
Well, I mean, yeah, I knew the Freebirds as faces when they reunited in Georgia. So when I came to Texas and they were heels, that was actually a new take on it for me. And we hated the Freebirds, but there was part of it that you just had to like Michael Hayes' charisma, and then Terry Gordy's talent, and then you didn't, like you were saying, you didn't understand what Buddy Roberts was around for.
Yeah.
Until you grew up and started realizing, oh, in the ring, Buddy Roberts was a talent, and it's a shame that he never gets recognized for the talent that he was.
The only time I think he really did is the UWF run where he won the TV title. For some reason, that's something it's the first time that Buddy Roberts actually looked like he was getting pushed as the guy that not always got his ass whooped.
Right.
But yeah, back to the territorial system. I think that's where we were at. I lost track. I think it's a good idea, and I think our Lord and Savior EC3 is the reason being. He's the savior of the NWA. All hail EC3.
All hail.
Wow, and it's funny that you say that. Because remember when he came to the NWA, that was his catchphrase. And then we had just heard it with Matt Cardona. We're all rolling our eyes. He's like, "I'm going to come here to save this nostalgic wrestling alliance." And okay, whatever, dude. And then he's doing everything that he's kind of put out that he was going to do. I mean, again, he's defended the title now. He's already had 2 defenses of the championship since winning the title. He's already scheduled. We talked about this earlier. I think we talked about it last week. He's got 2 defenses scheduled back to back on the 21st and 22nd. That'll see him in New York and in New Jersey, defending the 10 pounds of gold, first against Crowbar, Devon Storm, timeless Crowbar, and then the following night against Buck.
Chin up, tits out.
What's that?
Chin up and tits out.
Yeah, different timeless.
Oh, okay.
The original timeless. The one that wrestled Dan the Beast Severn for the 10 pounds of gold. The one that wrestled Chris Candido for the 10 pounds of gold. And then he wrestles Pat Buck at Wrestle Pro on the 22nd.
He might have wrestled Carino too.
Oh, Devon Storm did?
I might have. It was around that time. He was around at that time.
I looked and I didn't see a connection between him and Carino. I did see the one with Dan Severn. I didn't even see the one with Chris Candido, but someone else pointed that out. I think, in fact, you might have pointed that out.
Yeah, it was on a video I got back in the big training days.
Was he still blonde then? With bleach blonde? Was he?
Crowbar?
Yeah, it was Devon Storm, right?
Yeah, no, it was just brown. It was longish brown hair, and he was playing like just the punk, just had the glasses on, the smart ass punk.
He had a great feud against Iron Man Tommy Cairo for the North American title too.
I do remember seeing bits and pieces of that years ago. But getting back to our world's heavyweight champion, like I said, he defended against Lord Crew. He defended against Jay Bradley. He's going to be wrestling Crowbar on the 21st. He's going to be wrestling against Pat Buck on the 22nd. Then he has Tom Latimer at the pay-per-view. He also has he has Manny Lemons on December the 9th. And then that December 1st, he's going to be facing Fodder. So look at that. In like a 3-month span, this man is like defended the title more than Tyrus did in 8 months.
After Manny Lemons, I hope he takes on Manny Bothans.
Manny Bothans?
Manny Bothans. Manny Bothans died to bring us the news of the second Death Star.
And I was just thinking to myself.
Only us lame-ass Star Wars fans are laughing at that shit.
I was trying to name themselves after something from Star Wars that most people won't get.
You said Manny Bothans, and I'm like, who the fuck is Manny Bothans?
Manny Bothans died bringing us the news of that second Death Star,
Which, of course, they didn't need to because apparently the Emperor was advertising.
And then James H. Jackson, late breaking news, this just handed to me. EC3 is defending on tonight's Ohio Valley Live event on Fight Plus.
Hey.
So who's he facing, James? Are you checking it out right now?
Actually, I did see that, and I don't remember the name of the guy, but it was like a mid-card guy for them. But still, I think it's still a good deal for the Ohio. You know what? It'd be great if OVW was one of the territories.
See, okay, now someone posted that in a message form on Facebook. I saw it, and I thought to myself, at this point in the game, what's in it for Ohio Valley to do that? Because really, let's put everything on the table here. Do I feel like NWA is in a higher leverage spot than Ohio Valley?
Yes, and I'll tell you why. Go ahead.
Before we got to the Netflix special, I would have said that the NWA was a much higher leverage product. Now that they have this Netflix special and a lot more focuses on Ohio Valley, I imagine that's going to change soon. And so to me, it's like, why, if Ohio Valley's leveraged at least similarly to the NWA, what would be the benefit to lose your identity as Ohio Valley, become NWA Ohio Valley? Is Al Snow wanting to work with Billy Corgan? Do they feel like that would be a better draw for them than, say, just going out and picking up some names on the, who are on the free market as recognizing EC3 as a world champion instead of going and get a top tier talent for the company.
Well, also, isn't Ohio Valley kind of owned by a consortium now?
Yeah, it's Al Snow and the former governor or mayor or something like that of Lexington, Kentucky, and some radio host.
Yeah, I mean, he brought in venture capitalists, which means they're the ones that hold. They're the ones that own it.
Yeah, a couple of years ago, and I don't think you'd be mad if I said this, but before Al Snow bought Ohio Valley, people were throwing out offers. Dave Marquez was one of the finalists, but didn't quite make it. But he was going to buy Ohio Valley, and the trick was he wanted the Derby City footage that had all the old stars from like John Cena and Batista, Randy Orton, Brock Lesnar, all the Derby City footage that existed, because the Ohio Valley footage got sold to WWE a long time ago, but there was that secondary promotion, Derby City, that was connected to Ohio Valley. He wanted all that footage and they wouldn't work it out. So next thing you know, Al Snow ended up with it.
But this is why I think it would be beneficial. Because right now, even with the Netflix special, even with Ohio Valley's pedigree, even with Al Snow's name, there's not a lot of people right now going from Ohio Valley to one of the bigger territories, except for when they do it AEW Dark or something like that. There's a lot of people who work their way from the NWA and work their way into AEW and to the WWE. So right now, just based on that alone, there are more eyeballs you can put on your OVW talent. If you really want them to go somewhere and do something, the NWA still has the cachet that people will pay attention to their talent. I mean, people paid attention to Ricky Starks. People paid attention to Thunder Rosa. People paid attention to Eddie Kingston, LA Knight, they all paid attention to them from the NWA. They've all gotten shots because right now, I don't think anybody was beating the door down for LA Knight until he got into the NWA, and he was really good in getting his name out there. Yes, he was very talented. Yes, he could have been in championship wrestling from Hollywood, but the Billy Corgan name with that really showcased how great he is. Something everybody already knew. He was on Impact, but that's like the witness protection program of professional wrestling.
Sometimes, yeah.
So it really did what he needed to do to get spotlighted, and I think that helped him get signed. I think that did help Ricky Starks get signed, because nobody was beating down Ricky Starks' door before he got to the NWA. Eddie Kingston was always talented and could always talk and did some Ring of Honor, and probably would right now if it wasn't, he would either be retired or doing jobs on Ring of Honor television. But the NWA showcased how good he could be, especially on the mic, and I think that made a huge difference.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay. You're kind of winning me over here a little bit. I still don't know. I still don't know if I like it, but you make some very, very good points. I think now's a good spot to wrap it up for this evening. I think that was some great conversation. I want to say thanks to DKM and Jaden for having some discussion tonight about wrestling. We hit on a lot of topics. I hope if you missed any of the show, you could always go back and watch it afterwards. It'll be here hopefully indefinitely, so you can watch it as often as you like. Of course, we try to get an audio version of this podcast up as well. Check out the Alliance blog if you just want to hear the bits and pieces of the show, not the whole thing. Obviously, we're not going to put up the food chat on the podcast.
Make that a short at least.
Make it a what?
A short episode? At least.
Sure.
Some short ribs or a shorty hoagie, or
I could go for a shorty right now. Hey, Jaden, I know there's a company that you work for that has a YouTube channel. I know that you're getting dangerously close, no pun intended, to 1,000 subscribers. What's going on? Give us an update. What's happening at Dog?
Well, you do want to get dangerously close to Dangerous Adrenaline Wrestling Gladiators. Feel that adrenaline pump through your body as you watch all the great pro wrestling action Dog has to offer, plus matches from Daredevil Dave Dahl. Make sure you tell your friends. Make sure you tell your enemies. In a world where professional wrestling sucks, go watch Dog Pro Wrestling, and the only time you have to worry about it sucking is if Dave Dahl's involved.
One man. I'm gonna have
So,
you.
yeah.
Are you available for hire? Because you're gonna start doing the introductions for the show.
Sure. My throat's real raspy right now, so I sound really good.
All right. Is there more content coming to the channel? Are we gonna get any match announcements for the start of 2024?
No, I know that April something's coming. I don't have it worked out yet. So Dr. Zirconium and I are working on that. I know, I'm sure we'll be doing Back at Rowan sometime, so that'll be coming. I know there's something in the works for a high school and possibly for a shopping outlet.
That sounds awesome. I miss the days back in Vinland when you used to hit up, what was it, Kashmir?
Oh, the strip club? Yeah, that was fun.
They got DK's attention. Hey, DK, if you would like to tell folks how they can follow you on socials, first unmute yourself and then tell people how they can follow you on the socials.
At DKMFWTX.
In a world where DKM.FWTX, or wherever I screwed it up.
At DKMFWTX.
One man.
One man.
One man. And it's message of royalty in pro wrestling and sometimes barbecue. And often cat videos. Stop sending me cat videos, by the way.
And all the videos that Jaden sends of kids getting hurt.
And adults.
And adults.
And adults. I don't discriminate. I'm an equal opportunity sadist.
James brings up the most important thing. Don't annoy me.
Yeah.
And you're more than welcome to annoy me if you follow us at the Alliance blog. We are on everything. Make sure you, if you're on social media, look for the Alliance blog. We're probably there.
And stay tuned for Three Hungry Guys, the food talking special.
The Three Hungry Guys. That'll be our food podcast. That actually, that might not be a bad idea.
In a world with three guys you need to watch. Have a podcast.
If you guys are on TikTok, I'm trying to grow that channel to 3,000 so we could bring this very fine podcast that you're watching now available on TikTok as well. I think that'd be kind of cool. Anyways,
if we hit 3,000, Jay will dance all the famous TikTok dances.
You'll have to show me how to do them.
In a world where Jaden looks like he's having a stroke while he's teaching Jay how to do a TikTok dance.
Eric Dell has the name of our food blog, Three Hungry Poor Guys.
That's why I had a cheese and French fry sandwich today for dinner.
Have you seen the recipe where they make lasagna with ramen noodles?
Yes, and that's actually really good. I've done it.
It looks really good. If I get 3,000 subscribers on TikTok, I will do the Nana dance, though. Do full body Nana dance.
I don't even know what that means, and I don't want to either.
I think you do. So we'll be.
I don't.
So again, make sure you go to www.alliance-wrestling.com because that is your number one source for news and information for the National Wrestling Alliance as well as United Wrestling Network. Plus, make sure you're subscribed to this very cool podcast live stream we do each and every Thursday. Of course, I'll be back on Tuesday to do the pre-party, but for how long?
In a world where the parties are pre.
Where one party's pre. We'll be doing the pre-party to get you all set up for Power as we march to Samhain. And then, of course, Jeremy, Dave, and Tim will be back on Wednesday to get you all pumped up for, I think they're covering The Last of the Wrestler on Netflix, talking MLW, talking some United Wrestling Network, talking some NWA. That should be a lot of fun. And then, of course,
who are they?
Here. They are the other Alliance guys.
What's their names?
Jesus Christ.
He gave them names. That's why I had to ask him who they were. Because, branding's very important.
The other Alliance guys. 2024, maybe we need to get a better name for them than that. They are so much more than just the other guys.
The Alliance Guys Junior.
They're the junior division. Is that what you're saying?
El Hijo del Alliance Guys.
Well, I bet if we all got on a scale, they probably would be the junior guys.
No, that's
yeah.
We will be the Thursday before the pay-per-view, which I believe is I'm going to just guess and say October the 25th. That episode of the Alliance Guys will be a joint effort. Hopefully we'll have all 6 of us on at one time, and we're going to do our predictions for Samhain. I think that should be fun.
I hope DK yells at all of them.
He will. All right, guys.
You've been wrapping this up for like 30 minutes now.
Well, you guys, Jane keeps making me laugh. What do you want me to do?
Now I want to rap. I don't mean like PN News. I meant more like a tortilla.
Never mention PN News again.
And
yo, baby, yo, baby, yo.
At the matches.
Thanks for joining the stream. This has been a presentation of Alliance-Wrestling.com. We genuinely appreciate your support. Would you consider subscribing so you'll never miss a future episode? I'd also like to remind you we do a live stream every Tuesday at 5 p.m. before NWA Power. You can find us on social media at The Alliance Blog. And until next time, we are the